All right, YouTubers, that last video was some pretty basic multiplication stuff that we were just showing you how it would work with algebra tiles. And that's stuff that you've probably covered in previous lessons, both in your 7th and 8th grade math and also a little bit earlier in your algebra classes. Now we're going to work on the place that, like I said, algebra tiles really start to shine, is a binomial times a binomial. Now, when we're multiplying these things, once again, we want to go ahead and set up that bracket. Start with that starting bracket. Now remember that our problem is going to go outside the bracket and our answer is going to go inside the bracket. So let's go ahead and set up our x plus 1 and our x minus 3. So put that negative on bottom there. X plus 1 times x minus 3. Now let's go ahead and start filling in inside of there. Again, right here, I can't put an x in there because it's not going to fit both directions. Oops, destroyed that one. The only thing that's going to fit there is an x squared. Remember, I showed you in that very first video why that one was called x squared. It's because it was an x times an x going each direction. Now let's go ahead and fill in on the side over here. The only thing that will fit in this direction, 1 times x, was a positive 1. Make sure that you're checking those signs, though. Positive times positive makes positive. Now down here, we got to fill in as well, and this time we're going to do a negative, because a negative 1 times a positive x is a negative x. So go ahead and fill those in. And then on bottom, we'll go ahead and fill in these as well. Again, they have to be on the negative side or the red side because we had a positive on top and a negative on the side. And we all know positive and negative makes negative. Now, once we have ourselves a perfect rectangle, if you didn't have a perfect rectangle, if there was something missing in there, you wouldn't be finished. You have a perfect rectangle. Again, I can pull back my original problem and see that my answer is going to be 1x squared. And then let's go ahead and think about these guys. Our x's, well, I've got a negative 3 and a 2. These guys right here are a 0 pair, so they are going to go away. Leaves me with minus 2x. And then these here, 1, 2, 3, negative 3, or minus 3. So that's how I'm going to multiply using my algebra tiles. Let's go ahead and do a different problem. I'm going to scoot this one off the screen and do a different one. I'll come back in a minute and show you how to do that without using algebra tiles, using just straight algebra skills. Let's take some bigger numbers this time. Let's do 2x plus 1. Let's go ahead and make that a negative 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 4. And you know what? Just to make things a little bit more different, let's not use a 1 anymore. Let's use a 2. Let's go ahead and draw our starting bracket. Now, I'll tell you right now, that one's not going to be big enough, so we'll just have to stick off on the sides. All right. Let's do this one going to the side. We've got 1, 2x, and then minus 4. Going down the side, I'm going to have negative 2x. So a negative 2x plus two. And, oh, my key is getting in the way. I better go ahead and take that off the screen. So let's go ahead and see what's going to fill in this time. Negative 2x plus 2 times x minus 4. Well, our x squared is going to fit in there perfectly, but again, that positive and negative means I've got to have a negative there. So these guys are going to fill in all as negatives. Now going this way, up in the top right corner, again, an x times a negative 1, well, that's going to make a positive because my two negatives make a positive. So let's go ahead and fill those in. Let's see if I have enough tiles to make this work. Hopefully I don't have to draw any. Okay. Now across the bottom here, well, I've got one tile, and oh, I hope you'll forgive me, I'm out of tiles. I will have to draw them in. And now for the bottom, I've got a positive times a negative means that these are all going to be negatives down on bottom. I apologize, I got my hand-drawn ones a little bit the wrong height, so it's not going to line up perfectly here. I had 2 rows there, so I'll have to have 2 rows on the bottom as well. So as I'm adding this all together, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4x squareds. My x's, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 x's. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a negative 8 as my answer. Now, let's go ahead and fill in and show you how to do that using our algebra skills or without using algebra tiles. Okay, in order to do this without using our algebra tiles, we're still going to use the exact same idea. Now, I've got this one on bottom that we can use as an example, but I'll show you the relationship between the two as I go through. What we're going to do is line up, take our exact same box we started off with, and write it as x plus 1. Make sure that the sign goes with the number that follows it. Here we're going to have an x and a minus 3. Now, just like on the previous video, it doesn't matter what order you put them in. If you put your x minus 3 on top and your x plus 1 on the side, nothing's going to change. Our format will look a little bit different. We're going to make a box where each one of these gets its own column and each one of these gets its own row. So we have a 2 by 2 box. Now, you might remember from your biology classes a thing called a Punnett square. We're going to multiply all this stuff Punnett square style. Now, let's go ahead and do our top left box. X times x gives me x squared. The top right corner, x times 1 gives me 1x. X times negative 3 is going to give me negative 3x. And 1 times negative 3 gives me negative 3. Okay, I apologize for cutting the video like that. I had to take a break to go ahead and reconstruct this, the one that we did very early in the video. If you can look at this, you can see, well, I have an x squared in the top left corner. I have an x, a single x, in the top right. I have a negative 3x in the bottom left, and I have a negative 3 in the bottom right. The exact same structure has just been transferred over here. Well, just like I did earlier as well, I'm going to be combining my like terms across this diagonal. Here we said that these two are a zero pair and they cancel out. Well, in this case, negative 3 plus 1 gives me the negative 2. We can see the x squared still goes there and the negative 3 still goes there. All I have to do is combine my like terms. So, if I was going to do the exact same example I'd done earlier on bottom, using my box method, I would just do negative 2x plus 2, 2x minus 4, make it into its own box. 2x times 2x gives me negative 4x squared. 2x times 2 gives me a positive 4x. Negative 2x and negative 4 gives me a positive 8x. And negative 4 times 2 gives me a negative 8. And again, on my diagonal, I have my like terms. And when I bring it out, negative 4x squared comes out. 4x times 8x gives me 12x. And, sorry, not times, plus 4x plus 8x gives me 12. And negative 8 just comes out. So using that, I could do any one that I wanted to. Let's go ahead and do those are my ones that I had to draw earlier. Let's go this direction with it. 2x minus 7 times x plus 2 It's a binomial times a binomial. So I'll make a box that has 2 by 2, 2x minus 7, x plus 2, and multiply Punnett square style. 2x times x gives me 2x squared. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. 2x times 2 gives me 4x. And 2 times negative 7 gives me negative 14. Once again, I have those like terms across the diagonal. For my answer, 2x squared gets written down. 4x plus negative 7x is negative 3x. And then negative 14 comes out. So my answer, 2x squared minus 3x minus 14.